This is research which is part of the DADPC project, Demonstration of Automated Process Control, which is a Demo 2000 research project. What we aim is to demonstrate autonomous drilling. This is built on top of existing technologies which are commercially available. And main objectives are to enhance safety, to improve performance, and to achieve greater levels of consistency of drilling procedures. But first, what is autonomous drilling? If we take the scale from these levels of automation, we're basically aiming for levels A, 9, and 10, which means a system which can take its own online decision. It's fully adaptive. It can react to unknown situations. It can learn both from experience and online. And it doesn't require human intervention. In our case, drilling case, we treat the problem as an optimization problem, multi-objective optimization problem. And basically, we want to minimize the time it takes to drill a section. Uh, that means that we need to estimate the current state and decide what is the next best action. Drilling is a complex problem. Even estimating the current state is a highly difficult problem. In order to do that, one needs to look at whole history and all actions which are taken and in which order, uh, which is consequently very important also for a particular action which is taken at this time, because it will influence the future. And there are many choices. It is not straightforward. There are operations which needs to be done in order to drill the section, but there are also procedures which can be done if desirable, like taking a friction test or reciprocation. This procedure might improve the hole cleaning conditions, for example, but they also require time. In order to evaluate which is the best next action, we look at optimization on short term, medium term, and long term perspective. And we evaluate, as I said, we want to drill as fast as possible. So on one side we have the performance, and on the other side we have the risk, because we want to avoid drilling incidents. Bit vibration, the reduced performance, pack-offs, hole collapse, and so on. The list is much longer than what is presented here on the screen. That means that we need to balance the performance with the risk. It means that we need to have a good estimation of the risk, and in order to do that, we need to evaluate what is the effect of a certain action. But as I mentioned, it's a complex problem. An action can have a delayed effect that we cannot see in the next minute or maybe the next half an hour, which makes the estimation of the risks and the future quite difficult. At the same time, the data quality and availability is, of course, very important. Data which is available after the decision needed to be taken is not very relevant for the online decision making algorithm. Which means that we need to cope with other solutions. That's why our technique is a hybrid solution, and we consider both data-driven techniques and physics-based models. Once such algorithms for decision making is in place, it needs to be integrated as part of the bigger system. Such a system is very important to have protection functions, and we implemented safe operating envelopes, which ensure the commands are within acceptable limits and respect pump pressure limits, avoid buckling the string, transport cuttings, and avoid stick slip, for instance. But at the same time, incidents can occur. And what is important is to take a fast reaction to try to contain the problem and avoid an escalating problem. And that's why the system has implemented also fall detection, isolation, and recovery for over torque, over pressure, over prudence, and down weight. And it includes the detection part, the isolation, the first reaction, but also to try the decision on which procedures should be performed in order to try to cure the problem, which is the recovery part. Even all these safety measures, there are situations which will not be able to be handled by the system, like cable which is cut or hardware failure. It means that the system needs to go to manual control. But a driller, which was not direct involved in the decision part, since the autonomous drilling system was in charge, might have quite limited situation awareness. So he needs time to evaluate the situation and decide what is the next best action. That's why we implemented the safe mode management system. On top of this, it means that even if a failure occurs, the system will leave the process into a safe state for a certain amount of time to give enough time to the driller to evaluate the situation and decide what is the next best action. Autonomous drilling, in our approach, is an adaptive solution that balances performance and level of risk. It balances the necessity for additional operation with availability of measurements, because keep in mind that this autonomous drilling is not only about drilling as fast as possible, but also about taking a decision of the operation of procedures that cost time, but it will minimize the risk in the future, meaning that it will help with avoiding incidents. It is a self-learning system. It estimates formation rock reliability, estimates unexpected downhole drilling condition deviations. It's a system that has its own protection mechanism, as I mentioned, and is a system that also implements a safe mode management for transition from the autonomous to manual drilling when it is required to cope with lower situation awareness of the human in such high level of automation. Where we are, we demonstrated in Open Lab, which is our own virtual environment, in October, the autonomous system, and now we are preparing to demonstrate autonomous drilling on Ulrik, which is our own land rig in Stavanger. By this, I would like to acknowledge the Research Council of Norway, Aker BP, Equinor, Repsol Norge, Total, Vår Energi, and Petrobras for financing the work through the Demo 2000 funding program. If we want to read more about this, there are two publications which are listed here. And I would also like to thank ONS for inviting me to hold this presentation today, and thank you for following this up.